G'day everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Ads and Dunks podcast, exclusively brought to you by the Ausmerican Aces. It's Josh here, obviously joined by Adsy on the line, my best mate. How you going, mate?
Going well, mate. How are you going? It's been a good week to move forward now. That's the unfortunate thing that we have going is if you lose, we lose, and if you win, we win. And it actually happened on the weekend, which is just pretty annoying. So it's a good week to fast forward and look forward to both our games this week.
Yeah, I must say, when I saw that the Doggies lost on Saturday night, I was a little bit nervous because I know that your theory is when you lose, we lose, and vice versa. So,
it seems to be like a bit of an omen at the moment. So hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we can buck that trend. And if we seem to lose later on in the year, hopefully one can win, one can lose. But at the moment, it's a bit of a trend.
Well, it's going to be different this week because obviously I've got the bye and you don't, and hopefully you're back out there. You might be able to give us some news on that later on. But looking forward to watching that game. It's going to be a massive one. But anything else, mate, going on this week? How's your hammy going? You feeling good?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling good. Could probably answer the question for you now, but yeah, I'll be playing. So we've got a main session tomorrow, and then knock on wood on the big woody head that I got. Hopefully I can get through training fine, and then put my name up to play, and looking forward to it. We've strung some good games together. So unfortunately we lost on the weekend. We'll obviously touch on that a little bit more, but a bit later. But I will I'll definitely be putting my hand up to play, and I can't wait to get back out there.
I must say, knowing you, if your body's right and you've still got to get through another couple of sessions, you say you're going to play, you're going to play. So for everyone out there, he's going to play. Trust me on this one.
Well, as long as I get through the main session
for it too.
No, I got one last week, but no, I won't get another one. Everyone will probably get annoyed at me. But we're actually going to start the potty off a bit different. We're going to start with obviously the biggest news at the moment going on between us. Definitely is the NBA.
How good it was! I didn't get to see much of Game 7, but mate, the other games unbelievable. What about the finish to Game 6? It was just insane.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I actually didn't see I turned it off when Jimmy actually had those free throws, because funnily enough, I was actually doing a playbook coach, something that you and I are both on, and we know the playbook coach people listen to the potty. So there you go, a little bit of a shout out. But I was doing a session and I kept saying to the parents, Courtney was her name, I kept saying, I'm so sorry, Courtney, I've got to actually look at my phone because there's a game going on. Game 6 is on, and I'm desperate for Heat to win because there's so many things happening. Everyone's bagging me on the potty, and for what it's worth, Caleb's Kuzmic, I think, however you pronounce it, he said our podcast is going well, pretty much. But then he said, if the Celtics win in 7, Ads can't talk any more NBA. Well, mate, they did win in 7, so I can talk NBA. So I'm actually pumped that one of my predictions actually came to fruition. And also, for what it's worth, Joshy, when Heat went 3-0 up, Cody Waitman, we're on the massage table, and he said to me, he always comes to me about NBA stuff. He goes, we had a little internal bet with each other. Pretty much I was going to lose the mortgage of my house because I was that confident that Miami Heat were going to win. And he said, nah, Boston will come back and win. And I shook on it. So today, Game 7, I was very, very nervous, but I'm pumped the Heat won.
Yeah, wow. What a series. No one would have ever predicted, I think, Boston to come back in the way that they did. And then obviously the way it's all played out for Miami to win in Boston in Game 7 after losing 3 straight is a pretty impressive effort.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Miami, I could see why Boston were the favourites clearly going into this game. They'd won 3 in a row, games in Boston. But the thing is, Boston firstly hadn't played well in Boston. So the last 2 series, they'd obviously lost their first 2 games against Miami. And then the prior series, they actually lost 2 games at home against Philly. So usually home court advantage is a bit of a fortress for teams, but it wasn't really for Boston. And then the fact that Miami had won 3 games in the trot, I mean, that was no fluke. So, I thought today's game 7, was going to be a little bit closer, but I was still confident Miami were actually going to win because they'd played such good basketball. And, the way that they lost in Game 6, as we just touched on, I felt like, well, that was clearly, yes, you would call it luck, but obviously it takes a bit of skill for Derek White to get up and score the way that he did. But a lot of it was luck. I felt like if Miami play half as good as they did in today's game from Game 6, they're probably going to win. So I feel like the two best teams in this postseason in particular, in Denver and in Miami, are the two rightful teams that get to face off against each other for the championship, which is, as you said, friggin' exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. After that Game 6 and Jimmy Butler goes up on his media call and he's like, we're going to win Game 7. It doesn't matter. Like, just with confidence.
Yeah, and it's also pretty crazy that last year, I'm not sure if you've seen, they lost to the Buck. Who did they lose to last year? They lost in the Eastern Conference Final, whoever they lost to. And I was Boston, of course, because Golden State played Boston. And so they lost last year. And Jimmy in his presser afterwards said, pretty much, I love these bunch of guys. We're going to be better, this and that. But, pretty much mark my words, we're going to be back here next year in the same situation and we're going to get the job done. Fast forward, obviously, 12 months and they get the job done, which is, just shows his resilience and his mindset. And something that you and I have spoken about quite often with Jimmy Butler is he doesn't care about the regular season, as we know. He cares purely about postseason and how he's going. And, the team that he has built around him, you wouldn't say it's the most talented compared to all the other teams that are going around. So, what is also crazy is obviously Miami Heat were the 8th seed. And remember, they actually lost their first playing game. And they were 5 minutes away from losing to the Chicago Bulls. So the fact that they then obviously qualified, beat the Bucks, beat Knicks, then beat Boston, and now in the championship series, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's quite insane. Like I don't reckon many people would have predicted outside of probably Miami fans that they would make it to the finals. And what a series this is going to be too. Denver obviously flying and Miami with the caliber of players. And I actually read that Tyler Hero might be back too. So for Game 3, I think it was. So that's going to be it's going to be an interesting one as well.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the tale of two different stories, really, especially from it's definitely from the conference final. I mean, Denver were able to sweep their way through their series, although it wasn't an easy, clean sweep. Most games were pretty hard fought against the Lakers, but they've swept their way through where Miami looked like they were sweeping and then obviously had to, go to a Game 7 and win. So it's kind of the tale of two tapes. But you know what I do feel like the first games, in terms of all the momentum with, what it's going to be like on their lungs and their legs and whatnot, because Denver have had such a big break, I feel like Miami are going to have all this momentum going into that first game, which is going to be in Denver. And for what it's worth, it's going to be on Thursday. Friday for us, Thursday for over in the States. It's exciting to see these two match up because, as I said, in the playoffs, these two have clearly been the two best sides against going against their respective conferences, and now that they're playing against each other, it's I don't even know what to predict because I seem to not predict anything, or anything right. But my heart is barracking for Miami. I like the underdog. I love the fact that they've done it this way and they've gone about it. But I fully appreciate how good Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray are. So it's hard for me to predict anything. I might wait a little bit and I'll let you do the prediction first because I seem to stuff everything up.
No, I was going to just ask you a question. If Miami Heat do win the whole thing, is it one of the greatest NBA stories of all time?
Oh, I'm actually probably going to say yeah. Like, I can't think of anything that in my time of being alive and watching NBA and a bit of a historian, obviously love my NBA. You know how much I love it. And I know about a lot of great championship teams. I feel like my Chicago Bulls in 1996 when they went 72-10 and were able to pretty much sweep their way through the season through the playoffs was unbelievable.
Wasn't even born then, mate.
I know you weren't, but if you watched the Last Dance documentary, you probably would have seen it. That was impressive. Obviously everyone talks about LeBron James being 3-1 down and then obviously coming back against one of the greatest teams of all time. Well, greatest regular season team of all time in Golden State, which is impressive. But I guess to answer, now that I've had a bit of a think about it in the last 30 seconds, I would actually probably say yes. I would say it would be the greatest NBA team story of all time. I mean, there's only been two teams now, so one team prior to Miami, making the actual the championship playoff, so the finals, as an 8th seed. And I think what makes it even more impressive is nowadays, because it's a play-in, they've essentially come from the 9th seed because they were 8th and then lost. And then, do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I actually think it would be one of the greatest stories. What about you?
Yeah, well, I think it's definitely one of the greatest from where they've come from and how they've done it and who they've had to get through. And especially now they were 3-0 up, Boston win 3 in a row. Like, that's just, no one would ever have predicted that kind of pathway. So it's an incredible run. And if they were to get it done against a Denver Nuggets team that's obviously flying at the moment, I believe that that's probably one of the greatest stories ever. Another question we've got here, and it happened today, from Andre Bistisi, I think, via Instagram. Just asked us about the Tatum ankle injury, and he said, what kind of impact would that have on a player in that kind of game? How do you think he would have felt, obviously, during, and do you reckon it has a big impact on you as an individual if you were to get injured in a game like that?
Well, clearly watching today's game, it had a massive impact, enormous impact. I feel like it's a little bit different. If you're asking from a footy perspective how we can relate, we're fortunate enough to have, 17 other players and then, a couple on the bench that could come in and fill that void. I mean, I think about the Bulldogs and a guy like Liam Jones or Aaron Norton or even Bont. They're probably the three that I think if they were to go down, that they're very, very hard to cover for. But I think you get exposed a lot more in the NBA, clearly, because the roster isn't as deep. And the best player is obviously so far more, better than the guy that's probably last on the roster. So a guy like Tatum, who, has been scoring unbelievably well. I think he's 5th all time for most points scored, or on average, most points averaged in a game 7. And today was obviously game 7, so he loves it. I'm not sure if you actually seen the first play, but he legit rolled his ankle on their first play to the basket. And from then on, he wasn't himself at all, couldn't put any pressure on it. Clearly affected the way they wanted to play, because usually every offensive play, the ball goes for Jason Tatum for the Boston Celtics all year long, even in the playoffs, especially in the playoffs. And you watched today, they had to rely on Jaylen Brown, who ended up having, I think, 9 turnovers, which is probably the worst he's had in his career, and to do it in a game 7 isn't probably the best thing. And then Derek White off the bench had to shoulder that load. So kind of shows you the importance of Jason Tatum and what he brought to the team. So yeah, to answer, I guess, the question, it had a huge impact. I feel like it was a massive part of why they actually lost, or why they weren't even in the game. Like, they weren't even close. From 7 minutes ago in the game, they were finished. And I feel like for a team, I feel like from a team point of view, you could kind of sense that they knew that, wow, like we've got to kind of put our team on our back, whether it was, as I mentioned, Jaylen Brown or Al Horford or Derek White, but they're just not capable of doing it. So you could just see the defeat in them. So it's a good question, because, as soon as he went down, doubts for me and whether Boston could actually win, they will definitely ring in strong in my head, because, I just thought if he's hobbling, and after half time, he literally couldn't put weight on his ankle. Like, he was running around on 1 foot, and it just looked so bad.
Yeah.
So, it had a massive impact on the result.
How do you think that he would have approached it mentally? Do you reckon it would have got on his mind a little bit? Or, because I try and think about it, and, I feel like a lot of AFL players, as you touched on before, would deal with injuries. And yes, certain key players that if they got an injury, it would be hard to cover. But I feel like a lot of guys carry injuries these days, and you can sort of, in those big games, you can put it to the back of your mind and almost get on with it. And I saw, I think it was 3/4 time, the coach came out and they asked him, how's Tatum going to go? And he just said, he's just got to play through it.
Mate, it's hard, because the minute you second guess yourself, you know that you're probably not right. You're not playing instinctive basketball for this case, obviously, for us footy, which as soon as you're not playing instinctive footy or basketball, as I'm saying, you're not going to be able to be fully yourself and bring your best. And as soon as you take that out of your mind and stop worrying about this ankle or whatever it may be, you're probably going to have a far significant impact. But I think one of his biggest strengths is his ability to be able to play a different role, whether it be impact the defensive end or close out on shooters, which he does as good as anybody, rebound the ball. And he actually couldn't do that either. So you could clearly tell the ankle would have been on his mind. You could see every time he was running down the court, he was grimacing. He had a play where he had an open lane and dunked it, and it looked like he was scared to land on his ankle because he knew there was going to be probably a shock of pain that was running up his leg. So, yeah, mentally it would have been hard for him to stay in tune, and he probably would have known too that I can't come off here because my team needs me. I'm the alpha. I'm the superstar. We need to win Game 7. I don't want to come off, which would have killed him because he knew he couldn't be himself fully. But it is what it is. I mean, it's unlucky. I heard the commentator Jeff Van Gundy or Stan. It's one of them because they're obviously brothers. But he said throughout the regular season, he always says you're always one rolled ankle away from your team losing because obviously that rolled ankle could be someone who's an absolute superstar. And Jason Tatum, for this matter, yeah, if he doesn't roll his ankle and he's fit and healthy and firing, it could have been a different story. It would have been a lot closer than what it was.
For sure. Anyway, Miami get through and facing Denver in the finals. But let's go on to tips, mate. What are your thoughts on the series? Who's your player to watch? MVP?
I don't want to tip because
knowing
I feel
that
like
probably you'll get it wrong.
I know. I seriously think Denver will win. They've just played.
Give us a score.
Well, they've just played too good for them not to win. I reckon I'm going to go. They'll win their first. They'll win their first two at home. Miami will win Game 3. Denver will win the third one. In Miami, then Miami will win back in. Then Denver will win back in Denver, and that'll make it 4-1. Yes, so that's what it's going to have to be, 4-1.
All right, and
you
MVP.
Oh, okay, so we're going with mine, then we'll go yours. MVP, well, clearly Jokic, clearly.
Player to watch.
I'll tell you who. And it's not for Denver. One for each team. I'm going to say Jamal Murray. I feel like he has waited a long, long time to be able to do this because obviously he had the bubble year and he balled out as well as anybody. And then the last all these playoff series, he's been just the man, unbelievable. If Jokic wasn't on the team, we'd be talking about how good Jamal Murray is. So he's my Denver player, but my Miami Heat player to watch, Caleb Martin. Mate, he has had. So do you get this? He had 25-point games in the regular season, and he's had 2 in this playoff series. And it looks like a bona fide star. He's rebounding the ball. He's bringing the ball up the court. So he's my guy to watch because you know what? He's probably out of contract. Knows he's he wants to make that bank. So why not ball out for a team that hopefully wins the championship and get paid that bank? So he's probably my player to watch. What about you? Winner, what's the score, MVP and player to watch? Give me yours.
All right. Winner, obviously, I'm going to go with Denver. I've been on Denver the whole way. I think we can, if we go back and look at the records of our podcast, mate, I said Denver from the start, from the tip. Score, I think 4-2. I think Miami might win the first game. I've just got this weird feeling that Miami, like you said before, that they've got some momentum. They may win the first game in Denver, but then Denver will get the second game in Denver. Miami might win the third, and then Denver to finish it off after that. So that's my prediction. I actually did tip Miami in 7. Do you remember that? I said that
against Boston.
Yeah.
No, I don't. But you said obviously the potties, the past episodes would be the answer. So
yeah, maybe
our loyal listeners go back and have a listen. No, you did. You didn't give me MVP and player to watch.
Yeah, MVP Nikola Jokic. I don't think anyone's going to go past him. Player to watch. I'm going to say, because you said Caleb Martin, I'm going to say if Tyler Hero comes back, he's going to be one to watch for me. Just the way that not only him coming back into that team, but it's just going to be a different format for him, and I'm curious to see how they use him, especially early on. So that's one for Miami, and for Denver, I'm going to say Aaron Gordon, just because I feel like he's one of those players that can have an influence on the floor. He's a pretty big presence. The way that he can play up and down the court is pretty good. So outside of the well-known names as you touched on, Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, those types, I'm going to say someone like him to really stand up in the series and get it done.
Yeah, I like him. I can't wait to review where we're at in a week's time. For what it's worth, though, I am going for Miami. So I think Denver will win, but I'm actually backing for the Heat. So I cannot wait to. I think it'll be 2 or 3 games in by next potty. So I can't wait to debrief where we're at with it all. But anything else on the NBA front?
No, mate. Looking forward to it. It's going to be a great series.
Oh, well, no. We want to wish Jack White all the best because he's obviously a part of that Denver Nuggets franchise organization. So hopefully he gets a bit of game time. It'd be nice.
Yeah. We're talking about getting him on when he comes back to Australia. So we were trying to get him on this week, but he said it's a bit hectic over there at the moment, as we'd all understand that, the Ads and Dunks podcast probably isn't high on the priority list at the moment for him. But looking forward to getting him on and chatting to him when he comes home, hopefully with some silverware, mate. Be nice.
Yeah, that'd be sick. We wish him all the best. But we'll move on to what we normally start with now, which is obviously the review from the week just gone. As we both touched on, we're both on the losers list, unfortunately, and that Omen is still well and truly alive. I guess we'll obviously start with you. How did you your last game of the round? Obviously, didn't win. How'd you feel personally out there? What went wrong? Where can you improve?
Yeah, it was a tough game. I mean, the Crows brought the heat, and they're going to be, with the key ins that they had, they're going to be very tough to beat. I think if anyone played against them at full strength, they're a good side. Like, all respect to Adelaide Crows Football Club. I think they beat Port early in the year, so they've ticked a couple off. But yeah, it was a bit frustrating because we did win a lot of key areas, and everyone talks about key indicators and key stats and inside 50s and time in possession, time in forward half, contested ball, clearance. I think we won all of those statistics. So we kicked 1-9 in the third quarter, which was frustrating, and those types of things I feel like can really be a dampener, especially when they go up the other end so easily. If we're peppering the goals or peppering inside 50 and then they go up to their end and score like that, it's pretty hard on the mind, and it is a struggle at times, especially when you're away from home too, to be able to I suppose stem that flow of momentum. So yeah, it was a tough one, but I think we'll take a lot out of it. As I touched on, they're a great side, and I thought there was still a lot of positives to take out of it from us, and the way that we played in that first quarter, especially, I think was really good, and the third quarter as well, to get those opportunities in front of goal. But then obviously in the end, I felt like we just tried our hearts out right until the end. It was never a moment where we threw the towel in. We're like, we're not going to get this done. So it was good. It's a good learning curve for us going into a bye now, and looking forward to obviously learning from that game. But getting stuck into the second half of the season, not this week, but next week onwards. So looking forward to that. How'd you see you boys? Obviously, you weren't there, but the boys were up in Darwin. How'd you see that play out? I watched a little bit late after watching Tips Netball, but talk us through that.
That was obviously a frustrating loss. We obviously give credit to the Suns, as you just touched on with Adelaide, with their side. They're a very good side, very good contested ball team who just have talent across the field. I look at their midfield and Matty Rowell and Noah Anderson obviously had 2 unbelievable games. Matty Rowell, I think, had 20 contested possessions and 10 clearances. He was incredible. So it was a bit of a tale of kind of the same thing. We lost some important key indicators. They beat us around the ball. They smacked us in contested possession and tackling, which is, quite unique because usually if they're winning contested ball, the other team's tackling. So for us to lose both of those areas was pretty frustrating. To still be right in it with, a minute to go, essentially a minute to go, 2 minutes to go is probably the only pleasing thing that we can take from it. But, we going into every game, we fully expect to play the way that we've been playing, and and that's been off the back of our effort and our defense, and consistently be able to bring that for most of the game for every game. And I feel like we kind of lapsed in that regard a little bit. We definitely didn't defend as well away from the footy as we liked, and we hold our hand up and say, we weren't good enough in that area. When you give teams opportunity to kick through you and rebound from defensive 50, they're going to hurt you. And that's what the Suns did. I felt like as soon as they got out, got it outside to their users, they really, really hurt us. And they were able to score on us. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for Liam Jones down there, we could have lost by more. I mean, he's, firstly had an incredible game, but secondly, just has been unbelievable for us, unbelievable for our back six. He's already one of the great players I've ever played with. He's a great leader and defends, literally to the line, defends as hard as he can. And it's been a great example setter for all of our other players and defenders. But we don't want him having to defend all that line or all our defenders to have to, defend those easy entries. So, yeah, it's a frustrating one to watch. I was obviously at home watching and, as you could imagine, how competitive I am. I was freaking up and down on the couch, freaking screaming my head off. I was very, very frustrated. But, the beauty of it is we get another chance. We don't have a bye. Obviously, you do. We've got 3 weeks before we have our bye, which is pretty funny because you'll have a bye and then you'll be back 3 weeks of playing footy whilst we'd be going into our bye. So it's quite funny. But, it was a frustrating performance for us. But, now we obviously put our minds to Saturday night against a great outfit in Geelong who are reigning premiers. Obviously, they're not playing the way they want to play. So we know they're going to come with an intent to want to beat us. And, they like playing at Marvel as well. So frustrating loss, but looking forward to the game ahead.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too, mate. It's going to be obviously you're back too. So it's going to be a big one. Looking forward to watching on the couch. I'm not going to be going to the game because I'll get smashed in the crowd.
I was going to say you might be able to come because it's bye week. What are you actually doing for your bye? What are your plans?
There is no chance I'll be able to walk into that stadium, mate, and get out of there alive. But no, I'm heading home. I'm heading back to the farm, back to Gippsland. So coming home or heading home Thursday morning and then, spending a couple of nights back there and then coming back to Melbourne on Saturday to watch Tipper plays the Collingwood Netball Club on Saturday night.
You'll be able to give some love to the old man Panda, who we're going to give him a bit of love right now because he's just had back surgery.
He has. Yes, he has.
You're going to have to give him some love from both of us.
He reckons that he's come out of surgery better than what he felt when he was in the car on the way to surgery. So even though he's just been in surgery, he's feeling better, which is incredible when you think about it. And you should see his scan. So you have your spinal cord and his disc and the bones and stuff are all pretty much compressing his spinal cord against the back of his back. So it was
the nerve sensation. Yeah.
The nerves down his legs and stuff. Yeah. So he's sitting in hospital right now, mate. I'll send him the podcast tomorrow when it comes out and you'll be able to listen and he'll be hating it that we're talking about him for sure.
No, I know. That's why I wanted to mention it. But I caught up with obviously your brother Kaiser yesterday and I told him to give Panda a big hug on behalf of me. Told him that I loved him. So hopefully, as you said, he listens and you can help him out down at the farm, let him put his feet up, maybe have a beer with him whilst you're jumping on the tractor or rounding up the cows or whatever you got to do.
You should go pay him a visit, mate, in the hospital.
Yeah, I should. He'll probably get disgusted that I'm there because he'll think that I'm there to bag him or something, but I'm not. I'm not. But is that all you're doing for your bye? You going to go anywhere other than obviously here or too short?
It's too short. Too short a time, yeah. So it'd be good to go home and see the family back in Yarram and then see Tip play on Saturday night and catch up with yourself and a few others in Melbourne too, which would be good. Might get a haircut too from the great man Iran.
Yeah, well, make sure you pencil him in early because he's always booked out weeks in advance. But he'd do anything for us. But no, that sounds fun. Well, hopefully you get to our game. I know you won't, but give you a bit of a rundown on the week. We've as I said, we're going to look forward to playing against a good opposition in Geelong. They've had the measure over us quite a few times actually. I think we've only beaten them twice in 6 or 7 years, which is obviously not ideal. They're a very good side. Did you ever beat Geelong when you played for the Bulldogs?
Yeah, not at Geelong, but I beat them at Marvel maybe once or twice, maybe.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, as I said, they're obviously going to want to come out and absolutely smash us. So, for us to, I guess, really get back on track on how we want to play, we're going to have to defend against guys like Jeremy Cameron and Tom Hawkins, and their small forwards are as good as any small forwards in the competition. So, really looking forward to that contest. I hope that the pressure side of the game that we've been able to bring, and the defensive side of the game is something that we really set for a big task this week and put into play, because that's really what's been the trademark of our play so far this season. Even in the games that we've lost, we've been able to keep teams to quite a low score. Obviously, not the first two rounds, but after that, we've been pretty good. So I'll be enjoying being back out there. If I get through training tomorrow, that is, knock on wood. But hopefully celebrating it with a win. So really looking forward to that game.
And I think, isn't Dangerfield back as well for the Cats? Is that true?
Yeah, I think he came out and said, and you could tell that the experience of Paddy's sorely missed out there, and even the way that he was playing prior to hurting himself. He was, playing like he wasn't a 32, 33-year-old. He's playing like he was back when he was 25, 26, which is one of the great players of all time. I actually had a question. We're going to do, in 5 or 10 minutes when we ask questions. That's actually what we're going to do. We're going to answer some questions from people on Instagram who sent through. But I've actually got a question about Danger I wanted to ask you. You got to start, bench, or cut, and these are prime. One's Paddy Dangerfield, prime Paddy Dangerfield, prime Dustin Martin, or prime Nathan Fyfe. You got to start, bench, or cut.
Cut. I'm going to cut Paddy Dangerfield.
Are ya?
I'm going to start Dusty and bench Fyfe.
Wow. Okay, that is so hard. So it's from Brock_Child. So thank you, Brock. Sorry, say that again. You're cutting Danger.
Yep, starting Dusty and benching Fyfe.
I'm going to start Dusty because I not only think his prime's better than Danger and Fyfe. I think he's obviously one of the greatest players of all time, definitely the greatest modern day player. So I'll start Dusty purely because Fyfe's aerial ability. That's probably the only reason why I'm benching him. And then unfortunately I have to cut Paddy Dangerfield.
Yeah, same as me, mate.
Yeah, well, it was a good question because you obviously mentioned Danger. So hopefully if he does play, he's nowhere near the prime version of Paddy Dangerfield, because that's going to be a difficult task to stop. But is there any other games or any games that are on your radar this week, or anything you're looking forward to in terms of this round?
Oh, no, I'm just looking forward to having a spell, mate. Obviously, we all talk about being a bit banged up halfway through the season, and there's a few things going on in my body that I'm pretty keen to let heal and relax for a week. So, that's the most important thing for me. But obviously, I look at your stuff and what you're doing, and if you're back playing on Saturday night, then I'll be watching that game for sure. So, looking forward to that, mate.
Good. That's actually a good question good statement that you made. How is your body feeling in comparison to years gone by? I know you're obviously getting older, but
yeah, no, it's been okay. I've got a couple of crook thumbs. I've actually got a couple of fractured thumbs that I've been looking after.
Dealing with.
For those that, they're ones that you can they're only minor, but little things that you deal with as players. I think most players that have some kind of, crook finger or thumb or whatever it might be. And then I got a massive calf corky on the weekend in the first 10 minutes of the game. And it was one of those ones where your muscles relaxed. So like it's a real deep tissue one. And it's just blown up my whole calf right now is double the size. I got big calves already. As you know, I've got pandas calves. And it's like double the size at the moment. So I'm nursing that. To be honest, if we were playing this week, I might have been in doubt. So it's a big corky. Yeah.
How does how would your 4 days consist of in terms of training, or what's the expectation before you actually get back to, just for the listeners out there that obviously are intrigued on, we've just touched on a bye week, you go and spend time with your family, but there's still expectation to probably maybe get a session in here or there. What's it like? What is it like for you guys?
Yeah, it's pretty much like a similar kind of format as it would be at the footy club. So we get a couple of weight sessions to do over the 4 days. I think it might be 2 weight sessions and 1 running session. So we train today, Tuesday, and then Wednesday, and then we go off Thursday to Sunday. So we'll probably have a running session in there on Friday, might go train at the Yarram Demons on Thursday or Friday night, maybe with the boys down there. But that'd be nice to have a little kick around with them. But yeah, looking forward to, as you touched on, having a bit of a spell and putting the feet up and seeing the family, because I feel like, the AFL season goes for a long time. There's 23 potentially finals as well. So it's one that, really you need to be mentally and physically ready for, because it's a tough season, as we all know.
One more question, I suppose, on that, on the bye round for you. Do you do anything do you review maybe the first 10 games or however many games there's been and check out, KPIs that you may have set and then look forward to the next 10 games prior to obviously hopefully will be a finals run for you?
Yeah, we're doing that. We're doing that next week. So we have our days off, and then pretty much this week's like a whole mental refresh, physical, get yourself right. And then Monday next week, when we come back, we're all having a group meeting where we sit down and, as you just said then, talk about a few key indicators we wanted to potentially that we're not going so well at, or that we're doing really well and want to continue to improve. So that'll be good. I'm looking forward to that, because it's like coming into a new footy club, you're trying to learn and obviously implement the game plan and change the way that you play a little bit to suit the team. And it's been good to obviously learn that, but now obviously trying to continue to improve it is going to be what's interesting. So looking forward to that meeting.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, it's a nice little insight for, as I said, we've got a lot of budding footballers that like listening to what we do. So that's a good little insight. But no more footy. We'll move on to the netball now. It's our favourite sport outside of footy because of our girls. And I'll start with Kimmy. We had a great round. We actually were able to win. We won pretty convincingly well, which is very pleasing because we haven't been able to win convincingly at all this season. And the way the girls played was unreal. I seen Kim started in, one of her biggest strengths, I feel like, is she's able to play in a variety of roles in terms of wing attack, wing defense and centre. And the fact that she went to wing D was awesome. And you can kind of tell with her leadership and the way that she plays, I felt like it was one of her best games that I've seen her play, especially this year. Extremely proud of the way that they went about it, because the Giants, obviously, in Sydney are a pretty good side. And Jamie Lee Price is usually matched up against Kimmy, and she's an absolute superstar. She had an unbelievable game herself individually, but super pumped that the girls won. It was, it was awesome for them. I know they've been working extremely hard, and even Danelle hurt herself. I think she hurt her thumb early in the first or second and actually had to sit out for a bit. And I thought, oh, no, we might be in a bit of trouble here. And then Mia came on and was actually really good. So, and she played extremely well and showed her talent. So, yeah, it was a good week for Kimmy.
Yeah, it's good. Kimmy and Lara's obviously there too. So it was nice to see the girls smiling. I went down to Adelaide, as everyone would know, because we played Adelaide on Sunday, but went to the Thunderbirds game on Saturday night, and that was a really good one against the Fever. They were down early on, and then got going, the girls, and won by 1 point again, mate. It was crazy. It was one of the I've been to a lot of netball games live, and it was probably one of the best I've been to live. Like, it was the crowd, everything. It was just the atmosphere was incredible, and because they actually stuffed up the scoreboard on the TV. It said it was a draw.
Oh, no way.
On the broadcast, and then, but at the stadium, it said they were up by 1 point. So, like, at the end of the game, they were sort of like jumping around and thinking they won, but then the Fever were like, "Hang on, no, it's a draw," because on the TV it says it's a draw. Yeah, and then they had to double check, and then they were like, "Oh, Thunderbirds win!" And everyone, the whole stadium just went up like crazy. It was funny as.
Well, it seems like every time Adelaide are in those situations, you end up winning the game, which.
Yeah,
shows, you need in every professional sport, you need obviously the talent, the hard work, effort, but you also need a little bit of luck. And when luck's on your side, always tends to, be one of those successful seasons. So whether that is, we talk about omens on our potty, whether that's an omen where it's going to be Adelaide, because if the Firebirds, I think mathematically they can't make the playoffs. I'll call it the playoffs. They can't make the finals or the. Is it called the finals in netball? It is, yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Call the playoffs.
Let's call it the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll call the playoffs. I'll be going for the Thunderbirds. So maybe it is a omen those close games, but it's good. I mean, it's good to watch because we want one of our teams to be in the playoffs and supporting one of them, and obviously Lara and Kimmy will be supporting Tipper as well, but wanting to finish well in their season. So it's been good. I tell you what, you talk about one of the best games you've been to live. I'm just so I don't think and there's some incredible women's sport out there. The NBA the WNBA, incredible athletes. Obviously our sport, the WAFL players are incredible athletes. But our netballers, they're insane athletically. Their ability to get around their court, their speed, their quickness, their professionalism. It's right up there as the best in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah, same here, mate. We talked about this last week a little bit. Just the way that they move around and the quality that they play at is elite. And I don't think they're treated well enough for that eliteness, if you know what I mean.
It's probably insane that it's probably most sports out there, which is, as you said, it's silly. It's the same as WNBA, where a lot of their players, and they draw massive crowds and great revenue, and they get nowhere near the money pool that the players do in the NBA. So it is the same as the netballers because you see the hard work they put in. But when you watch these games, and that's more what I was getting to. You're at the live game, you would have seen that these athletes are some of the best, highly tuned athletes in the world. Who I played a game of mixed netball once against when Kim was at Collingwood. There was the partners v the girls. And I thought, I'll be all right. I'm pretty quick. I'm strong. I'll be fine. I was nowhere, absolutely nowhere. Couldn't get near it. Oh, couldn't get near it. And I kept getting called for contact and stepping and all this crap. And I was like, come on. Oh, what is this?
No, I didn't play mixed netball. I played we had a boys team that played up in Melbourne one year. From Gippsland Grammar. That's where I went to school in Sale, and we had a boys team travel to Melbourne one time for like a round robin. And what position do you reckon I played?
Oh, you would have been defense. I'm going to say.
Why do you say that?
Because you're a defensive-minded player. That's why. I'm going to say
I have no offensive skills.
No, not at all. Not at all. Definitely not shooting. But I'm going to say, you played goal defense.
Yeah, you're right. Goal defense. Goal defense is what I've played, but. I don't think we were too flash, but it was good fun. It was really good fun. I actually really enjoyed it. Just it is a different sport, but it's a very enjoyable sport once you get a good group of, for us it was boys, but for the girls it's girls, and you can come together and have that fun. So I really enjoyed it, and that was probably the last time that I actually played it. So yeah, it's great to watch, and I love supporting the girls doing what they're doing because they're doing such a great job at it.
Yep, me too. And it's almost the end of the season for the girls, so we'll keep supporting them. I know Kimmy plays the Vixens this week, so it's going to be a good game for them.
Yeah, Thunderbirds need them to beat the Vixens, so hopefully they do.
Hopefully.
Moving on, mate, we'll go on to the Instagram questions now. You've got a few that you said you screenshotted before.
Mate, I've got plenty. Plenty of people wanting to know a few things. Oh, I've got a good one. This is like a more of a serious one. This is from Monzies. It's just Monzies. After changing clubs, how long does it take to feel like you're a part of the new club? And it's probably one for both of us, but I'm going to direct this for you.
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like it depends on the club and culture that you come into. For me, I felt a part of the furniture. It took me a while because you really want to get out there and be on field. We're there to play football like coming in, you just want to earn the respect of your fellow teammates and the staff and the whole footy club on field. I feel like that's where you really set the standards. Whereas you come in, you probably don't get to train because the trade period's obviously done just after the season. So you don't get to train for quite some time. So for me, it was probably not until the New Year or the Christmas party, like the New Year was the time where I started to feel a part of it, because it does take time for you to really show what you're capable of on field, but then also build those relationships off. So yeah, to answer that question, I would say Probably took me a good couple of months.
Oh, good. It was a good question by Monzies. I like that. I know it'd be a good one for you. Well done.
All right, I got a little light-hearted one for you. How is Ads finding the solo drive into games when playing in Melbourne?
So the funny thing is, I'm not solo driving in. I need that. I need someone there sitting with me, so it feels like the old times. Usually it's my, usually it's Jess or Mick or someone taking me in. But no, it is funny because it became such a part of our routine for the first my 2 years. The 2 years we were together. It was one of the first thoughts in my mind when you got traded was, who am I going to go in with? But no, it's all good.
That was sent in by Hayden Fellows, just for those
Thanks, Hayden.
Wondering.
I got another lighthearted one. This is from Griffin Wares, and it isn't Griffin, my dog. For what it's worth, my dog's name is Griffin. Who would win in a marathon between the two of you?
You've asked this question because you just want me to say you.
I just want you to answer, like, with your hand on heart, who do you genuinely think would win in a marathon?
Well, if it's a competition, I'm not going to lose to you. So
I actually do think you'd win. Pure reason is I'd probably do my calf.
I'm a better runner.
I'd get 20. I'd get 20 Ks in. I'd do my calf. I'd do something.
I'm a better runner.
True. And the second part of that question, which is a good question, best running teammate you've had.
What, GPS numbers or?
Oh, well, I'm going to say, yeah. I'd say, well, what do you reckon? I don't know. It just says best running teammate you've had. Who?
Well, I'm
going to say
it's either
GPS.
like, yeah, so it's GPS numbers or it's like time trial or, testing numbers. I'll do both. So GPS numbers, you.
Thanks, mate. I knew that.
And then time trial numbers. Yeah, you obviously knew that because that's why you asked me the question. But time trial numbers are Harry Sharp. Harry Sharp, mate. Unbelievable runner.
Yeah, this question wasn't for me, but I wanted to answer Tom Scully. He is the best runner that I've ever seen up close. Incredible. He just mind-boggling. Mind-boggling.
There you go. I've got a question here from Oliver Hugo. Talk about Carlton.
Oh, they're clearly, it just kind of looks just a shot of confidence, really. Just extremely shot of confidence because the team that they have, they've shown that what they're capable of and their capabilities. And when they're at their best, it's as good as anybody. You've got, Paddy Cripps is Brownlow medalist, one of the best midfielders. Charlie Curnow, Harry Mackay. It was only a couple episodes ago where you chose, obviously, those two over Jeremy Cameron and Toby Grant. It just shows how highly we regard those two. Jacob Wiedering, All-Australian defender. Adam Sard, All-Australian defender. These guys know how to play the game of footy. It just looks like they're shot of confidence. And I said it a few weeks ago, but I just feel like one good performance or, one consistent performance, I guess, will just be the springboard into a consistent run of footy. So I just feel sorry for the players because I know, I've been in that situation before where we're not going well, where on paper our team looks as good as anybody. And I feel sorry for the players because I know that they work their absolute backside off. I know they would. There's no fluke they're in the AFL. There's no reason why they're just there. And I seen a journalist today question Paddy Cripps on, staying at a different hotel or something, even though he was with his family and it was the day after a game where it's like, it's just rubbish. People try and pick and pull at a story that's not there because the team on field isn't going well and trying to question a guy like Paddy Cripps, who we know is not only a great player one of the best players, but an absolute great leader and someone who bleeds the navy blue. So, I just feel sorry for the players because of being a big footy club and a proud footy club like Carlton. And I was a diehard Carlton fan growing up. So, I know how big they are. I just feel sorry for them because I know they would be working their backside off and it'd be like, why isn't this turning for us? So I still believe that their footy is as good as anybody's and that they will get a run and be able to turn around, in due time.
Yep. You know what? I was going to say exactly the same thing. I wanted you to talk about Cripper because I saw his post today that he put out there, just about the media stuff going around. But it's just, it's a joke. I mean, we all know how good they can be and their potential, and we can all talk about that. But everyone goes through these like form slumps, and whether it's a group, a string of games, or it might be one game, might be two games, whatever it is, like they'll get it together soon, and it's going to all turn around for them. So their fans, their supporters, have just got to back them in because they're not going to training every single day, not trying. Like they're still trying to learn. They're still trying to do everything they possibly can to be the best people and players they can be. So if it's me trying to give the fans advice, it would be to support them, not hang them out to dry every week because they're trying. Yeah. They're not trying.
No, I agree. It was a good question because I've got a little bit passionate there, and I don't even go for Carlton. But no, I feel for their players. I got another serious one for you. AKU Balski. So I don't know what that's. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. But what are your plans for life after footy? Do you receive help through your club with financial decisions?
Great question. So I'm actually currently studying real estate at the moment, same as you, Ads, aren't you? You're doing real estate too?
I am. I sure am.
Yeah,
Brisbane real estate too, because I will settle there when I'm a few years when I'm retired with the girls.
Yeah, so I'm doing that. I'm actually looking to settle down up here. That was part of the reasoning for me moving up here post career, and obviously Tipper and her family is all from up here, so that's where I'll be settling down and looking into real estate because I feel like I enjoy that. Whether it's residential or commercial, I'm not too sure yet. Still working through that process, but the study's going well. Clubs are very good these days at being able to help their players and steer them in the right direction as to what they might want to do. They don't really make financial decisions for you, but they can certainly, put you in contact with people that you may be interested in and little hobbies and things like that they can match you up to. So very good at being able to teach players that it's not all about footy, it's about life as well. So the career transition phase is really good from what I've experienced at the Dogs and at the Lions too. So very good question. What are your plans? You're coming to Queensland too, aren't you?
Yeah, so when I'm well and truly retired, I'll be settling up there in Brizzy in Queensland with Kimmy because I know she loves the Sunshine Coast. But I'll plan to have a house down here in Melbourne as well. My two homes.
Talk about Queensland, mate. Next question here, or thing to talk about from Matty Griffith is Origin. Let's go.
Yes. I feel like we need to talk a little bit more about the NRL on our potty when once the NBA is finished because all our energy is in the NBA. But I'm actually a huge NRL fan. I know you are as well. But you jumped ship from Melbourne Storm to obviously the Dolphins, which is okay. Yep. But don't be coming to these Melbourne Storm games when they're in the finals and playing off for the premiership. Can't say you're on the bandwagon anymore, but being a Melbourne boy, I've always supported Melbourne Storm. I remember watching the 1999 premiership and obviously their last few premierships they've had. I'm excited for Origin. I've always been a Queensland fan because the reason why is because that's where most of the Melbourne Storm players play. So hence why I go for Queensland. And, we've got Cam Munster. He's obviously an absolute superstar. Harry Grant is obviously playing as well. He's another superstar for Melbourne Storm. So really looking forward to the game tomorrow. I feel like being a big fan of the game, and because I'm not diehard Maroons, but I want them to win. I never want it to be over game 2. I always want game 3 for it to be 1-1. And I hope you're the same because I hate when it's kind of a dead rubber in the last game, although I want Queensland to win. So I want Queensland to win. I'm going to say New South Wales win tomorrow, though, and then Queensland winning Queensland, which I believe is game 2, and then game 3, Queensland get the job done in New South Wales. But if Queensland win tomorrow and obviously then win the next one, I don't care because that's who I support. So I am looking forward to it. What about you? Since I know it's my question, but we've never touched on it. What about your team and who do you go for?
It's a bit of a hard one for me because I feel like I've always supported Queensland, similar to what you said about the Melbourne Storm boys playing in Queensland. Now I'm obviously living in Queensland, so I'm a Queenslander, as most people would say, state of origin. But my state of origin is actually New South Wales because I was born in Sydney.
Oh, so true.
but I've never supported New South Wales. So it's a bit of a hard one. So I'm just saying I'm a Queenslander now, mate. I'm just going for the Queensland Maroons.
Yeah, me too. And I was rude. I also didn't mention Christian Welsh as well, who's the Melbourne Storm captain, who's obviously one of our stars.
I met Tommy Gilbert in the rooms a couple of weeks ago with Foose. They came down after a game of ours, and if Gilbo listens to this potty, good luck to him, mate. He's one of my favourites now. So he's a Dolphins man and now representing Queensland. So good luck to him.
Yeah, no, I do have a soft spot for Dolphins as well. It's kind of reminds me of when Oklahoma City Thunder came into the NBA. I feel the same towards the Dolphins, but I'll always be a Storm boy. But good luck to the game. I cannot wait to watch it tomorrow. It's one of the best spectacles to watch. I will ask the next question. This is a simple one from Adam Higgs. Pre- and post-game feeds.
Pre-game feed, depends what time of the day it is. But if it's a night game, I'll always have eggs and avo on toast for breakfast, and then for lunch, I'll just have like a chicken sandwich, something basic. I don't like to eat too much pre-game because I like to feel sort of a bit lighter going into a game. And then I'll have a banana prior, just probably an hour out from the game, just because, bananas are good for cramping and things like that. Post-game, eat whatever I want. Mostly Macca's, actually. I actually love Macca's.
We'd always stop by and get the frappes. You love the frappes after the game.
All right, my turn. This is from our good mate, Brits. Joshy Ritoli. He's giving us a little one on here. How do you spell boy? How do you spell boy? How do you spell the floating boy?
Gosh. I'm going to say B-O-Y. Thanks, Ritz.
Oh, yes. B-U-O-Y, mate. You forgot
I
again.
actually do know how to spell it now since that. I actually had that question too when I sent the questions in, but someone actually sent in for us to do spelling bees. Again, they missed the spelling bees.
That's so good. I love that from Ritz.
Most admirable player from a distance that neither of you have played with?
Someone that I admire watching. I'm going to say we talk about him a fair bit, but Jeremy Cameron.
And why is that?
Because of the way that he can influence games. I feel like he's one of those players that, and I think people too. Like I've never met him. I've probably crossed paths with him, was shaking hands a few times, but never actually had the pleasure of meeting him. I feel like he'd be a really good guy, a country lad that likes to have he can let his hair down and have a good time. And then obviously when it comes to footy and everything that he does it to a T. So very similar to what I'm like, I feel.
No, it's a good one. I like it.
What about you?
Oh, the question was for you, mate, not for me. But if you want me to answer it, I'll answer it.
Yeah, answer it.
Oh, you don't want me to answer it?
No, I do.
I'm going to say one of his teammates, Tom Stewart. He just seems like a great leader, sets great standards, and that goes hand in hand with being an absolute superstar defender and player. So Tom Stewart for me.
All right, I've got one here from Tim Jenkins. It's about the Rory Laird tackle, but I want to know your thoughts on tackling in general. What are you thinking with the current day tackling? Obviously techniques, but the boys getting rubbed out for what they're doing.
Yeah, I like how you're asking the question with a bit of a smirk. Trying to get a bit of clickbait here. I know Tommy tried to do it a couple of weeks ago with North Melbourne, but no, I just feel like it's a bit of a grey area at the moment. You see tackles nowadays that where players get tackled, and the ones where they're getting suspended or fined or whatever it may be. 2 or 3 years ago, it was a good tackle and a normal tackle. And as I've said before, I've said it on the show, and I think you have too. I understand why it's there. I understand we want to protect the player's head and concussion and how big it is. And speaking of concussion, Paddy McCartan has been actually ruled out for the rest of the season, which is devastating for him because he'd been playing some great footy and obviously was a part of that team last year that went all the way to a granny. So our best wishes and condolences are sent out to Paddy. Hopefully he gets right and can get back out there. But so I understand from that point of view with the tackling that there's going to be grey area because the AFL is clearly stamping out anything where the player, his head is compromised. And, you use Rory Laird's tackle, for instance. There's no malice. He's not trying to hurt Lachie Neale's head at all. He's not trying to hurt him at all. And in fact, Laird had 14 tackles or 15 tackles. It was unbelievable in terms of the defensive side. And it was just a good, strong tackle. But, with the rules, unfortunately, you got to get pinned for it. And we know it as players that we're going to be able to adjust to the technique, whether, I don't know, whether he tries to not spin him and, I don't know, tries to hold him up. Like, I actually don't know, what the answer would be to trying to fix it, because for hundreds of years, for as long as the game's been around, that's how I've been taught to tackle. So, yeah, it's just a grey area. It's a grey area. I'd love to know what you think. I know the question's for me, but what do you think about it?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. If it continues to go the way that it is, players can you can actually nearly help the tackler get done. Like, you can manipulate the tackler. Like, it's not a good look. It's not a good thing for the game. We talk about staging, and everyone doesn't want staging. Staging wants to be scrapped out of the game. Well, this is sort of influencing that kind of stuff too, if you know what I mean. Like, there was a moment I had on the weekend where I think Dawson tackled me, and my feet left the ground. And once your feet leave the ground, you're in that position where you can be dumped. And I felt like I actually could have thrown my weight more potentially to get a free kick, which is what players will start to do if they're starting to reward those types of tackles. Yep. But it's just unfortunate because it is a great tackle by the person that's tackling. It's like I was no chance getting out of that tackle. So, yeah, I completely agree with you. It's something that I feel like, yeah, and they're blowing the whistle a little bit quicker, I feel, which is good because then it stops from that slinging action. But we just don't want the players to start to think, oh, maybe I can get a free kick here by, influencing that tackle.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. That's probably, you don't want that. You don't want to go down that side of the game, because it's just going to be disappointing and a spectacle that probably no one wants to see. I reckon, I've got one more question. This is from Harry Barndons. If you could be one other person in the world for a day, who would it be?
Probably someone like Jimmy Butler. He'd be on a high right now. He'd be living the life, mate. Just about to go into the playoffs. Yeah, into the finals.
Living in his condo in Miami, probably overlooking Miami Beach.
Mate, that'd be living right now.
Yeah, not a bad one, Jimmy Butler.
What about you? You'll have some kind of left field thing.
How? I'm going to say Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, mate. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The Brahma bull. I don't know if you see, he actually brought a Brahma bull, and it's on his farm now, it's on one of his properties on his social media. He calls it a Brahma bull.
You couldn't do that. You don't know what a farm is.
Yes, I do. What are you talking about? You've seen me down at the farm. You actually named a bull after me once.
Yeah, Dad did. Yeah,
exactly. Showed the everlasting impact I had down there.
Why did he call it after you, do you reckon?
It must have just bounded in the yard, was super quick, and was real friendly to the other bulls. Why do you reckon?
Oh, because he was pale skinned and ginger haired. That's why.
Oh, that's unfortunate, because it's nothing like me, because I've got tan skin and I've got strawberry blonde. But that's it from me for questions. It's been a great note to end the questions on. I appreciate all the questions that were sent through.
Thanks, everyone, for sending in those questions and things to talk about, because it's been another great episode. One more here. We're still chasing our 1,000 5-star ratings on Spotify and Apple. So I think we were 70 up from last week. So make sure you jump on and rate us 5 stars. It's simple. Just type in Ausmerican Aces, rate our show, and then when we see it's at 1,000, we're going to launch our next giveaway, which is going to be a couple of signed jerseys. So get on there and support us. And as we always say, we love doing it. We love coming on here and talking to each other, and obviously the Ads and Dunks community as well, and our supporters out there. We love doing it for you guys. So thanks again for all of your support. We look forward to next week. It's going to be another big one, Adzi.
No, it will be. Just before we finish, I do want to mention, because we obviously are AFL players, and we're a big community, and we've heard obviously Jeremy Finlayson and his wife's Kelly Finlayson's journey this year has been quite traumatic for him, because obviously Kelly was diagnosed with some bowel cancer, and it sounds like obviously Kelly has got some great news with all the latest scans, and hopefully can continue her recovery going forward, and can overcome what is a cruel thing. Jeremy Finlayson is an ex-teammate of mine at the Giants as well, so we send our love from our podcast to him and his family, and wish Kelly all the very best going forward. As as I said, we're one big footy community, and we wish all the love and support in the world to that family out there, and and on their journey that is the one that they're on. So all the very best. It's, as you said, it's been another great episode. We obviously love doing this. We talk about it every week. Make sure you keep supporting us, subscribing. As Dunk said, jump on our Spotify, get on the Ausmerican Aces, whatever you can. Comment, tell us what we're doing good, tell us what we need to do better. Send some questions through, because we love answering questions and we want to try and answer as many as we can going forward. In particular, the ones where I look better than what Josh does. So love the questions. Can't wait to see you next week, Joshy. And enjoy the bye round.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.